right, we're ready. At this time, the mayor will call to order the special city council meeting and workshop, 5:30 PM Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. City Council Chambers, 201 East Nash Street, Terrell, Texas. We have in the chamber, District 3, Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, District 4, Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 5, Tim Royce, and Grady Simpson has indicated that he's going to join us within the next 20 to 30 minutes remotely. This time we'll do invocation. Mike, would you lead us in invocation, please?
Dear Lord, we just come to you because you're a great God. We have so much that we've watched out over the last year and so much to be thankful for. You've made Terrell a growing place. You've made Terrell a place where we come together in the unity of Christ. We just ask that you'd help us to continue this as a legacy to the next generation. Help all the decisions made up here on this dais to be honoring to you and to be thoughtful and to be mindful of the concerns of our citizens and businesses. And we just pray all this in your son's name, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. All right, our next item is mayor and council community recognition and events. Do we have any from anyone? Mike, did you want to recognize anybody?
I'll start, Mayor, with a recognition of someone who's not expecting it, and that would be Councilwoman Mayrani Velasquez. She was a real hero to us this week because she identified a location where there had been a contractor doing some work on one of our rights-of-way, Blanche, and sure enough, the very small item that she noticed was quickly becoming very large. When you've got water flowing underground and slowly eating out the subsurface of one of your roads, you've got a major problem. And so just like we would ask any citizen to do, if you see something out there in the city, don't hesitate to call, text, email, whatever it might be. Before you know it, those problems can get really big. But thanks to her keen eye, we caught it very early. I got a photograph of some cones that she had sent out about it, and I thought, man, I've got a very helpful human being here. So anyway, I just want to thank you for that. Those repairs went on for quite some time, still going on. And if you go out to Blanche right now, you can see we had a lot of construction out there. So appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, good. Does anybody else have anything? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item. Do we have remarks from visitors? Do we have any visitors? I think we have someone from the state hospital that's wanting to speak. If you would please come forward. This is Dr. Messer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you have a challenge for me or
Dr.
something
Mark
I've heard.
Messer.
All right, Mr. Messer, all right.
From the large psychiatric hospital here in Terrell.
Is that a threat? He's wanting to make sure he knows. Okay, go ahead.
I want to, at this time, officially offer a formal challenge to a softball game against the city of Terrell.
So you're challenging the mayor to a softball.
That's correct.
You know I played athletics in high school, is that correct?
Well, that might be true.
Some time ago?
But this is now, and
Oh, man, that hurts.
that was then.
That hurts. Well, I'm going to accept your challenge. We need to wager something that makes this game, although I'm sure we're going to win, but what council, does anybody have any suggestions? I think maybe we should have Mr. Messer attend a chamber function in a Terrell jersey after your loss. How about that? Is that good?
Well, we call those where I work delusions. And we're kind of not worried.
Have y'all practiced? We've had 4 practices, And we're up to the...
That's not enough, I'm afraid.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to the challenge, and this game will be held at Ben Gill Park or at the State Hospital Complex. At Ben Gill Park, it's going to be July the 29th,
Yes.
and it's also a special day for the hospital. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, last year...
And we hate for you to lose on this, but go ahead.
Well, it's going to be quite a celebration for the hospital, both during the day and at night. Last year, because of COVID, our 135th birthday party was canceled. So actually, this birthday party will represent 136 years.
Wonderful. So we're also going to try to make this event a charitable event. Is that correct? And we're going to give our citizens the opportunity to attend and/or sponsor, maybe. And I guess that will be on both of our Facebook pages, and hopefully we get the chamber to participate and put it out there. We have a great fire and police department, so get those guys ready, and we're ready for game on. First pitch. One thing that I will say is that before the game begins, we will have a softball that is signed by the city team, the Terrell team, and then a combination of both. And whoever wins will win one of those softballs. The others we may donate to the chamber auction. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Misher. You bet.
Don't forget no ringer now, Doctor.
Oh, there are rules, remember. They have to be employees of the hospital, as is with the city.
That goes for y'all.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that. Next item on the agenda is, do we have anyone else, Dawn, by the way? Okay. Our next item on the agenda is boards and commissions. We have a discuss and consider item at 6.1 to consider the planning and zoning. Are we going to move on this or table?
Mayor, I move that we table this item.
Okay, we have a motion to table from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez. Mayor Pro Tem District 3, and we have a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is discuss COVID-19 data, vaccination, and financial update. This is going to be Coordinator Dustin Connor, our Emergency Management Coordinator.
All right, well, it's good to be here with you again. Dawn's getting our presentation up and moving. COVID is slowly starting to roll back to kind of a sense of normalcy as we come out of our hub operation and continue to just work towards just the normal community vaccination effort that we've moved to. So we'll start off with just some data on where we are as far as COVID cases go.
I'm sorry, Connor, I hate to interrupt you. Did Dr. Messer leave? I would have too. I was hoping to get a photo of us too. Dadgummit, I'm sorry. Somebody should have asked. Okay. Go ahead, Dustin. I'm sorry.
All right, so we're just going to start off with some numbers on where we are now versus where we were at our peak, which was January the 13th. So at our peak, we had we had 768 768 first daily new cases. Which was our biggest, our biggest outbreak time. And then today, you look at it, and we're 33 in the county. There are 9 in the zip code, and then 1 that's in the city limits of Terrell. There's 2.5 million total confirmed cases in the state of Texas, cumulative to date. There have been 13,648 total cases in the county. So we've come a long way. This has been a long year and a half trying to figure out where we were going to end up. But we continue to see a fall. And in this slide, you can actually see the top right hand is the daily case number, and you can see That kind of yellow line is what we always watch, that 7-day average. And you can see we're well below where we were at our peak and still kind of at this little plateau, which we expect we'll continue to see. And we'll talk about why that is here in just a second. Next slide. These are just the trends for the county. You can look at the top is new confirmed cases. The probable cases we never really paid attention to because for us, probable cases may as well have been confirmed cases. And so if you ever saw a discrepancy in numbers for confirmed cases versus the numbers that you got from me, it was because Dr. Brazier and I decided a long time ago that we were going to call probable cases confirmed cases. We were just going to put those case counts together because they were either waiting on confirmation or it was an inconclusive test, and it was just better to count them where they were. And then the bottom number is fatalities. Next slide. So the vaccination project, 33,486 total doses is what we gave. The Terrell Fire Department gave under our umbrella. So that includes Forney, Maybank, the school district projects that we completed, and now at the municipal airport where we're vaccinating. So the reason that we talk about that plateau and the reason it's higher than we kind of expect it to be is because we're at 38% of county residents have received their first dose. The state average is 48%, and the national average is 54%. 32% of residents in our county have been fully vaccinated, and that makes us an 87% vulnerability rate compared to the rest of the country. So while we still have a lot of people who are eligible to receive the vaccine, we're really low on the number of people who have received the vaccine. And so we'll continue to operate the clinic so that we're able to vaccinate those whenever they're ready. But vaccination is much easier to obtain now, whether it's at a pharmacy, doctor's office, or at us. And we're going to continue to leave our site open for those who have struggles getting access wherever it is available. Next slide. So we're going to continue to vaccinate at the municipal airport. We've backed all the way down to 1 day a week. We're doing Wednesday from 8 to noon. The vaccination link is on the city's website. It's on the county's website also. It's using the same system that we were using when we were out at the Trinity Valley campus. People can go and sign up for their appointments, and they'll get reminders, and they can fill out their paperwork, and we report their vaccination to the state automatically after the vaccination has been administered. We're continuing to work with CareFlight and also in our own department to handle any mobile clinic needs, whether that be patients who are homebound and able to get out to a facility to be able to receive the vaccine, or if a business or industry want to do an event at their facility. We've already talked to Terrell ISD, Forney ISD, Kaufman, Scurry Rosser, and Crandall about doing back-to-school clinics. So we're gonna work on that probably late summer and try to get both doses administered before school's back in session so we can vaccinate those who either weren't old enough or didn't see the need going into the summer. Next slide. So reimbursement. So we entered into an agreement with the county. The county was managing the public administration, the PA, which is how we were being reimbursed from the federal government. We were submitting bills to the county was paying us, and then they were turning around and asking for reimbursement from the federal government. Our first reimbursement has finally been approved by the county. They had some documents that they wanted us to provide to make sure that they were able to get what they needed from the federal government. So it's been approved. Their second reimbursement is ready to be submitted. They're finalizing the documents over there now and just making sure that we have everything that we need so that we can submit that. The first reimbursement was $76,000, and it covers February, the end of January, all of February, and most of March. The next reimbursement catches the rest of March all the way through May. We're still waiting on a reimbursement request from Maybank. If you'll recall, we entered into an agreement with Maybank, and we were going to allow them to bill us. We would reimburse them, and then we would ask for our reimbursement from the county. We're still waiting on a reimbursement request from them. I reached out to their emergency management coordinator. We haven't seen anything from them yet, so we're still trying to figure that out. We entered into a partnership with Trinity Valley Community College. The use of their facility out at the interstate campus was better than we could have ever expected. And so we have some work to do out there to restore them back to where they are, or where they were, and we're in the process of getting that documentation finalized also. Next slide. So what's next? So the county, we were doing an event or a project with the county. The county hub has closed, and so we anticipate that we will reach out for public assistance from the federal government so that we can continue to fund the vaccination effort from now until whenever we decide that it's no longer needed. So you'll see us enter into an agreement with the federal government to manage that coming up in the future. We're going to continue to do the reporting that we were doing to the state, and we're going to continue to data mine all the information that we can so that we can make sure that when we submit for our reimbursement to the federal government, that there's no hang up, that we get that reimbursement as quickly as we can. Is that the last slide? That's it for
Wonderful.
COVID update.
That's great news. I tell you, if you think back to over a year ago when everybody was, the uncertainty that was in the community, I want to take this opportunity to thank the council for being supportive of staff's recommendation to move forward with hiring Dustin Connor as Emergency Management Coordinator. Also bringing Dr. Bashir on board to help in mitigating the COVID-19. The fear that was within the community, but not only just the community, but also here at City Hall. You know, we couldn't meet. We had virtual meetings. We weren't in one-on-one. As I look out now into the chambers and see everybody with no mask on, most of us are vaccinated, man, what a difference a year can make. And just again, thank you for the expenditure and the support for council to bring Dustin and Dr. Bashir on board with us. Thank you, Dustin. Does anybody have any questions or comment?
So I'd like to thank you, Dustin, and the team for all the hard work. Last time you were here, maybe it was Chief LaCroix that was here. I mentioned that we had a community member that wanted to get vaccinated, and the date that they wanted to go was not the date that the site was available. And I said, well, you can go to Walmart there, anytime you can walk in. And they said, no, I want to go to the TVCC, the Terrell location. I said, wow, they are a community member that would typically be hard to reach. Is trusting the city of Terrell more than Walmart. So that is, I think that says a lot about, the great work that has been done, the efficiency and the trust that the community has, not only with the hub, but with the city of Terrell. And, I also wonder if there's opportunity, since we have the chamber here, to do another notification push to the businesses to see if they want us to come on site and do that. I think they're getting to make maybe another round of calls to businesses. I might be making that part up, but wondered if there might be an opportunity for those non-traditional chamber businesses to also hear about this opportunity.
We can push that out. It makes sense to do that. And we have a little over, it's a little over 15,000 vaccines that are stored in our storage site, Pfizer and Moderna both. So we have access to be able to provide that.
Yeah, and I would ask council, staff, chambers out here, anybody engaged in this, the Terrell Tribune's here, what the thing we would all worry about, right, is whether or not we would have a bad fall. And if I look at our vaccination numbers right now, it might hint to me that we may have a worse fall than we really want. And so if we can do anything to get out more the message that we've got vaccinations ready for you, come on down, that's a great message. And particularly these large group environments, if you imagine some of our large employers, if they were to lose, a couple of working weeks for their operation, that could be devastating for our local economy. Same thing with the school district. So if you can ever have a chance to get that message out, then we should definitely be pushing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin. Our next item on the agenda is discuss COVID recovery partnership agreement with Terrell Chamber of Commerce Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is Carlton Tidwell, President of Terrell Terrell Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mayor Pro Tem Velasquez, the answer to your questions, yes. We always stand ready to do whatever we can to help our business partners. And in Terrell, as I get started with this, I want to go back to kind of the start of this nightmare that we had. The relationships that we have in Terrell that we've built on for many years, the relationship between the city, between the school district, and the chamber, and the Economic Development Corporation, played a major role in this. We never missed an opportunity to get together, even when we had to sit on opposite corners of rooms, just to be able to talk to each other, and we never missed one time to do that, even though a lot of places were shut down. We managed to get together. Mayor Carmona, Mike, Ray Dunlap with the Terrell EDC, and myself met every week in person. We also talked on the phone every day, and I just think that relationship is what, as you'll see in a little bit in this presentation, is what kept our economy moving during this time. I want to talk a little bit about the goals that we put in place with this agreement. Got it. All right. And the first one was to provide outreach to small businesses who were not normally or traditionally chamber members, and so we did that. There was some criticism early in the chamber group for doing that. And, my response to that was always, there's just times you just got to do the right thing. And it doesn't matter if they're dues paying members or not, they're part of your community, and the right thing to do is to reach out to them and do that. The partnership with the city helped help us with the ability. You stepped up with the resources to help us do that, and that really got things rolling with this. We also wanted to assist businesses in understanding the emergency protocols put in place by federal, state, and local governments. We marketed local businesses as appropriate, and what we mean by that, if your business wasn't open, or that part or that sector of business wasn't open, we moved on to others. But as those became available to open and to do business again in any way, we attacked that market. We helped in accessing various assistance programs available through federal, state, and county resources. We gathered input through surveys that'll determine the needs, respond to the opportunities and assistance as needed. And we provided space for Trinity Valley Small Business Development Group so that they could help local businesses, whether it be virtually or on site. And we also provided everything in Spanish and English. So let's start by just talking a little bit about the outreach. We obtained a list from the State Comptroller's Office of everybody with a sales tax permit in the city of Terrell, and we were able to get correct information on 465 businesses, and we were able to contact all of them. Now that's on top of our nearly 500 members that we contacted as well. We made them aware of all the resource pages that were available. We let them in all the new Facebook ads and social media stuff that we put together, just to let them know that we're here to help them. We didn't care at the time what they think about the chamber. We were their resource, and we wanted them to know that. We didn't care if they were dues paying or not. We had several Facebook group pages that were made available to anyone that needed it. Surveys were also made available to this same group, and we opened all of our virtual networking events up to folks that weren't traditionally members of the chamber so that they could be involved with that. In assisting business and understanding the emergency protocols, I think you'll understand that those moved really fast. and we stayed on top of them every day. We had a resource page that's still active on the Chamber and EDC websites. We created a COVID-19 business resource Facebook group. It still has 73 local businesses that use it. We called nearly 1,000 members, whether they were non-members or chamber members, to check on them and make sure that they're aware of all the information that we had. As new executive orders were put out by the governor, we sent those along with any Open Texas websites, checklists that went with it, just to make sure they understood where the information was and how they could get it. And as new businesses were permitted to open, we sent communications specific to those groups, restaurants, retailers. Think about when gyms opened, personal care services, they had different sets of guidelines and protocols that they had to go by, and we make sure that each one of those got specifically what they needed in order to reopen and to do business. We created the great COVID hygiene posters and flyers that businesses, they could print them if they wanted to, but we printed and delivered most of them ourselves. And we revised them as they needed, especially when the new face mask policies begin to come out. We sent them in both English and Spanish. And then for hotels, we made sure that they got specific information from the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association and the U.S. Travel Association, because their sector was a little different in reopening, and it was tough on them. A lot of ours continued to do good business, and they still had people occasionally coming by. Their biggest problem was they didn't have the staff to keep the rooms clean. So, 100% occupancy to them was not every room they had. 100% occupancy may have been the 10 or 15 rooms they could keep clean, just because they didn't have staff to do it. We did a lot of marketing for our local businesses, and Talana Morris, who's the director of marketing for the Chamber, is here, and she's going to talk to you just a little bit about each of the 8 of these programs. A lot of them you will still see running today, but we believe these helped our local businesses get back into 2019 business back to normal, whatever you want to say, very quickly once they were able to open. Talana.
Hello, Council. How are you this evening? So we did a lot of things that were new to try to help small businesses. So one of the things we launched is the Terrell Cash program, and I know some of you are familiar with that because you've been supporters of it, and we appreciate that. So Terrell Cash is a community currency program which allows you to purchase a gift certificate, let's say, on the Terrell Chamber website. We opened up participation to all businesses, all small business retailers and restaurants. They did not have to be chamber members. It's very easy for them to accept the Terrell Cash. It's just an app, basically, and they scan the QR code on the gift certificate, and it automatically validates to confirm if the certificate is valid, whether or not it's been used. And then all in the back end, we get notified and we issue payment minus like a 3% fee that covers the credit card charges. So we thought it would be a good way to try to encourage shopping locally and keeping business and money here in Terrell. One of the cool things about that program is that you can really market it to your larger industrial employers, and so we did that, and one of the first people to buy into that was Terrell State Hospital. During Nurses Appreciation Day last year, right when things were really, really tough for their staff, they purchased a lot of Terrell Cash. When we first launched the program, we had an incentive that if you bought $20 in Terrell Cash, you got a free t-shirt. So we set the expiration dates on those short term. We launched it in April, and we were trying to get people out shopping, so we expired those certificates at the end of July, I believe it was. We really didn't think COVID would still be how it was. So in hindsight, we should have just extended that, and we did. So all of our merchants know that we'll accept and honor any Terrell Cash they receive, expired or not. There's a process they have to go to do that. So we have about 24 local businesses who are accepting Terrell Cash. We have a lot of money out there in circulation. Terrell State Hospital did that again this year for their nurses on Nurses Appreciation Day. They didn't buy as much, but there's a lot of it floating out there. So if you haven't seen that, you should check it out on our website because it's a great gift idea, and the businesses who are using it really love it. So the Eat Shop Terrell campaign is it was a Facebook promotion, kind of a photo contest where they could post images on social media showing that they were out supporting our local restaurants and retailers, and then we were giving out Terrell cash. So almost everything we do now as an incentive, we give out Terrell cash as, you know, the prize. So we did that. We Shop Terrell Summer Passport campaign was something new we did last year. Small businesses used to do what was called Christmas in July. They did away with it for a couple of reasons a few years ago. One reason being just the summer heat. Then they felt like it was confusing because people expected them to be decorated for Christmas. So we switched it to kind of a summer theme. At that time, last July, things were just kind of opening up, you know, on a limited capacity. So we were thinking, what could we do to get people out to shop? So we did this kind of passport where you had to go around and collect your passport stamps at the different businesses that were participating, and then the winner got Terrell cash. We're doing that again, in fact, just in a couple of weeks. So if you're interested, on the 16th and 17th, you can support those small businesses through this campaign. Those are chamber and non-chamber members participating in that. The Shop and Terrell advertising campaign was huge. I don't think I could even recollect just standing here all of the things we did, but it consisted of billboards, a lot of print ads in the region, so not just in Terrell, but we did print ads in a lot of regional papers, a lot of digital ads, Facebook ads. We did a lot with that. So every format that you can think of for advertising, we did, and probably within a 30-mile radius as much as we could. So that one was huge. Welcome Fall, y'all. It's just another small business shopping event. So by that time, things were starting to open up more. It was just before we had another uptick in cases, but it went pretty well. I think people were getting ready to get out. So that one is just another thing where we do like a incentive for people to get out and shop. Shop home for the holidays. It's something that's been going on for years, but we really struggled with this one because that was when cases were starting to rise because it was right after Thanksgiving. So, but we always do big gift basket giveaways, and everyone was really pleased. All the small businesses that participated were really pleased with the amount of shoppers that they had on that weekend following Thanksgiving. So we did it for not just Small Business Saturday, which is the Saturday following Thanksgiving, but also Black Friday is traditionally like a big box retailer thing, but we thought, why not promote people to stay here and shop in Terrell on Black Friday as well with our small businesses. So we did that one. There was the Eat Shop Terrell campaign, and the photo hashtag contest. We did it at two different times. The early one was for t-shirts and different giveaways, and then the photo hashtag contest we did again in the latter part of the year, just to get people to post their photos showing them shopping and supporting local businesses to win Terrell cash. And then we did a lot of Facebook Live videos. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but Angie and I had fun going out and maybe humiliating ourselves a little bit to try to promote small businesses. So we're trying to keep that up this year. It's been a little crazy, but we do try to do a lot of small business promotion through video promotions as well. So any questions on those?
Thank you, Talana.
All right, just a little trivia for you before I move on. The Eat Shop, capital T, capital R, capital L, do y'all know where that came from? TRL? Mike Sims knows, his face is brightened up.
Go ahead.
He doesn't know. That's the call letters for our airport. So that's why we use that.
I knew that. I didn't.
You were just going to let everybody else answer, right? Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about, let me go back there. As the PPP loans and the economic injury loans information became available, we gathered that information for businesses. Locally, there were 45 businesses that applied and received loans, over $20 million worth of loans within Terrell. through that process. We made sure that everybody had the information to do it. If they wanted to do it, we would help them, we would encourage them, whatever they needed, we'd send them to the right place. One of our local banks is a top lender with the SBA, and so we were a big supporter of that if they needed the help to do that. We also kept those updates going on our website, as well as with email blasts to people who are interested in those. We did some impact surveys, one early on in March, that just to see what was going on, what they needed, how can we help, what can we do, how's the best way to help them. And one of the things that we found out about our businesses early on was that they expected significant loss, and they expected that because of supply chain problems as well as employee disruption. And those were the things that were on their mind the most. As we got through the year with another survey created for small business, 90% of them at the time were in some form of reopen stage. 43% were deemed essential and they never closed. And let me tell you a reason for that. That came through the partnership that I talked about earlier. Is Mike, Mayor Carmona, Ray, and myself, we looked at these businesses and looked at the rules and said, how can we make sure that this business is essential and we can keep them open? And I think that partnership in being pro-business really helped the 43% of those businesses to stay open. Again, we worked with Trinity Valley Small Business Assistance Program. Anybody that needed help, that wanted to see them, we'd do it in person, we'd do it virtually, whatever they needed, we'd set that up and make sure that they had the opportunity to meet with them. We also, again, we provided information in both Spanish and English. Dora did that for us, so she was a chamber employee at the time. And so she was a great help with that. She had provided translation for materials related not only to the COVID effort, but Farmers to Families program and other things like that. So did this help? Yeah, I want to tell you that it did. Retail sales tax receipts were up 11% 2020 compared to 2019. Folks, we grew 11% in the middle of a pandemic. You know, there's a lot of cities that can't say that. That's an additional $65 million in retail sales, 20 over 19. Currently in 2021, over the same time in 2020, we're up 16%. That's an additional $107 million in retail sales in Terrell. So businesses were thankful overall for the help. We had one, Rosa Ariano, who is the manager of Los Hermanos, called us in tears. She said, we have locations in many cities around here, 6, 7 different restaurants. And she said, you're the only chamber that kept us going. And he said, because Terrell was successful during this, we were able to keep the rest of the restaurants open. And so, you know, that made us feel better about the work that we did and the partnership that we have with the city in this. Now, the advertising efforts, Talana talked about some of the expenditures on that. I'll go ahead and I do have that slide here for you if you wanted to see that. Billboards, digital ads, print, signs, banners, broadcast advertising. If you like the tones of Ray Dunlap on Cumulus Radio and on Suddenlink TV in many areas in East Texas, then that's where a lot of that was spent. There was $81,000 used directly to benefit businesses and families in Terrell, and about $19,000 of that to offset some of the costs we had at the chamber. And I will be happy to answer any question.
Yeah, Carlton, you briefly mentioned about a local business who reached out to you and thanked you, but how often, if at all, do you have other communities reach out to you for ideas that Terrell's doing or have implemented, or how are we able to be 11% higher in 2020 during the pandemic?
Well, we had, I've had 3 reach out to me in the past 3 weeks.
So for the
Burleson, Little Elm, and Wichita Falls.
Oh, Council, I just want you to be mindful of the fact that the relationships that we build and have in our community that others don't and can't benefit from, what you didn't know was every week we were having a meeting. Carlton, myself, Ray Dunlap, Mike Sims, any staff member that we felt like needed to be there, also with the school district, and keeping decisions locally that benefited us all. And we all had, and we didn't know where we were going. We really didn't know if we were making the right decisions when we were talking about it. But as it turned out, it was good that we were able to do that.
I would like,
Yes.
you know, when you get into a situation like this, where we were last, you know, a year ago, January, February, you know, when, like all of you up here and most everybody in this room, when you're in a leadership position, it's okay not to know. What it's not okay to do is not to be able to jump in and get after it. And that's the one thing, we knew we didn't know what we were getting into, but we knew we had to make sure and stay on top of things and keep it rolling. And I just told the group at the chamber, I said, I don't know what we're going to do yet, but here's what we are not going to bury our heads in the sand, and we're going to make sure that we get through this. And I think that we did. And we've had comments not only from other chambers, but you know, from a lot of businesses around us. We get calls a lot asking us, you know, help us get organized. These other chambers will call us, and we offer to do that. We offer to help any business, any chamber, anytime we can, without giving away too many secrets.
Right. Well,
But,
I agree. But Carlton, I do want you to realize, and for those that are here listening or watching, you know, what Mike and I have going that other cities do not have is we have the support of a great council, right? So they were informed after our Tuesday meeting at our council meetings as to the direction. And each one of them were supportive of our efforts in trying to keep Terrell where it was and moving forward. And that's so key to having a great city, is to have the support of the council when you're trying to get something done and discussing it. But great group of colleagues from where I sit.
well, and you know, one thing our board allowed us to do starting last year was, you know, great leadership with our chamber board, because they allowed us to fail.
Right.
Hey, you keep going. If this works, great. If it doesn't work, keep going. Figure something out, and we did. And we had one comment from one board member that said, you know, y'all really made it look easy. And I said, well, we were just like a bunch of ducks sitting on the water. We may look calm on top, but we were paddling like heck underneath. So,
Right.
Mayor,
just try to-
I might take that comment to kind of give a little background for Councilwoman Stephanie Holmes Thomas, because the vote last year was to do a contract with the Chamber of Commerce for $100,000. So everything Carlton just described was packaged partly by that agreement. We used some COVID relief funds that we had available to us last year. We kind of did it, as the joke goes, on faith, because we did that agreement with the chamber anticipating that some of those recovery funds would come in and help us and reimburse us. I think that it took us until about January of this year to get our federal reimbursement for the activities that the chamber did over this last period of time. I am proposing to you to do another similar project. Page 28 of your agenda has kind of the second half of this conversation in it, which is the new agreement. Carlton and I have kind of worked through last year's agreement. Carlton had some good input to it that we made some edits on, and we basically are just about ready to propose to vote to approve this. Our understanding is that American Recovery Plan funding will reimburse us for this. As you guys know, and as we discussed, I think, last week during our budget workshop, there's a gap, right? American Recovery Plan funds were authorized by U.S. Congress, signed into law. They are dependent upon our governor signing some paperwork with the U.S. Treasury. Right now, we're one of only 19 states that have failed to do the paperwork with Washington, D.C. correctly. So we've got counties, school districts, large metropolitan cities, and the state of Texas have all received money out of the American Recovery Plan funds. There's one signature by the governor required to get small city assistance to come to the state of Texas as well. We haven't had that signature happen yet, but we're going to put that out on faith also, that'll get signed and we'll be able to get reimbursed for this contract that's before you. So it's a $150,000 contract this time. You can see that we're starting it up on August the 1st. The first payment gets made to the chamber in the October timeframe. It again focuses on a very similar to-do list, so I won't berate you by going through that again, but that's on page 2 of the agreement, which is on agenda item page 29. And then it just wraps up with some of those advertising expenditures as well on agenda item page 30. We think it's a good agreement. We'll ask you to vote on it when we meet again in July 20th. And so be happy to answer any questions about that agreement. But it's basically saying, you know what, we think we had a good program last time. I really don't believe that recovery is 100% behind us. We have a good rosy picture right now. But frankly, I think we have a lot of businesses that have been stressed to the point of breaking. And I don't want to walk away from them. I want to keep promoting them. I want to keep helping them. And this is a method of doing that.
So, Council, I'm going to ask that you review the City of Terrell and the Terrell Chamber of Commerce COVID-19 Recovery Small Business Promotion and Assistance Partnership that was given to you this evening. And then if you have any questions, please reach out to staff so that they can address those. Does anybody have any comments for Carlton?
Thank you, Carlton and Talana, for joining us today. You know, I joined various different meetings and online conferences because that's where we've been at, right, online. And the topic of small businesses always comes up, even today. And what we know about small businesses is that they are a very high percentage of job providers. I think maybe, what is it, close to 50% or more. More that provide jobs, not just in Terrell and Texas, but the entire United States. And they produce, you know, they're an economic stabilizer for communities even as small as ours. So when I think about businesses, whether they're part of the chamber or not part of the chamber, I always think of them as from a perspective of, you know, who are they employing? Are they, you know, earning wages? Where are they spending it? Are they spending in those businesses that are members of the chamber already? And how does that trickle down, not just for, you know, city property taxes or sales tax here, but, you know, how does that affect somebody at home specifically trying to purchase what they need? So I say all that to say that I'm a supporter of the work that the chamber does. And I really appreciate, you know, you working with us last year to change and add some additions to the previous agreement. My questions are really more along, well, I have one feedback. You know, I think about the TVCC Business Administration Program and whether our chamber members, you know, have, you know, asked for more, maybe. Would it be worthy to have some case studies from the TVCC, SBA, what do I call it? But SBDC, thank you, on how some of our businesses could be helped and maybe whether they could be a future speaker, have a booth at any time that there's many of our businesses together, like luncheons or things of that sort.
We could offer to have them speak at a chamber luncheon,
And,
or offer it open to anyone in the community for that matter. I
Thank
mean,
you.
our chamber, by the way, our monthly luncheons are not just for chamber members. They're for anybody that wants to come. So we can offer it to the entire community as far as the Small Business Development Group coming and talking. I'm sure Michael Ellsbury would love to do that, and he likes to get out and talk, so I'm sure they'd be happy to do that.
Thank you for your flexibility on that. And I'm curious, with this new agreement, what we found that, maybe we can do differently, or it's always exciting to see kind of what, sometimes I feel like the face of the chamber is not so much you, but like Talana and, Dora back then, and Angie, and, what efforts, might be a little different this time in planning from maybe what worked and what didn't last time.
Well, I'd invite Talana to come back up here and talk just a little bit. I think one of the things that we will probably take, we never used TV and radio until this. And I'm sure that we'll take another run at it, maybe for a different approach at it, especially a lot more of the local cable medias that seem to be working today. And so I'm sure we'll take another run at that, maybe even making a television commercial to run with what, maybe we have you on it. Talking about business in Terrell, or whatever the case
Are you
is.
up for reelection?
See, my point is that's a direction we've never gone, and those we're ready to try those. One thing we learned from 2020 is, we don't know everything. And we have learned a lot from making changes on things that have worked. And again, when you talk about council and the way you guys work together, our board's the same way. When somebody allows you to try new things and to fail, hey, all right, that's great. What did we learn? Let's go. Let's do it again. And so, to answer your question, do I know that today? No, not really. But we will try anything we can to generate business for Terrell from Northeast Texas.
Thank you. And I feel one more thing to add before I close up my part. I've had a couple of different, usually when I say non-traditional, I mean businesses that aren't members of the chamber, right? And over the last year, I've had the opportunity to carry some of the chamber folders with information, and have seen a couple of different new businesses that have joined the chamber or have said, okay, now I'm ready to talk about the chamber. So it's always exciting to see somebody, join and want to take advantage of all the services that you offer. And some of those businesses are specifically, primary language may be Spanish, and some English. So even last week at the chamber, we saw another new business that was primarily Spanish speaking. So I'd like to encourage, or kind of wonder where we're at in translating the information that I know Dora had started to do, the work with the welcome packets that we could also carry in Spanish to some of the other businesses.
We can, we have those translated. We can do that. We can get you that information. In fact, Mike offered Dora's services to us to do that, as well as Sadie Gutierrez, who is employed with us now, can get those translated. In fact, I understand Rick can translate very well.
Absolutely.
I might not take that packet. I'll take the ones from Dora.
Councilwoman, I have the gavel, right? Go ahead.
Well, I
So,
appreciate.
yes, they're very, we worked with, in fact, during the pandemic, we helped a restaurant owned by someone who predominantly speaks Spanish. We helped them relocate. I know, the building was bought out from under him, basically, and he moved on
Oh, yes.
Moore Avenue on the east
Yes.
side.
Yes.
And so we helped him navigate that.
Yes, he came over to, well, no, he was in District 3, and then he stayed in District 3, so.
Yeah, yes, and, but, he's been a good chamber
Okay.
member, and he encourages others to do that, so.
Thank you so much.
you bet.
Thank you all both. It looks like we have, for the record, Grady Simpson on remote. Is that correct? Oh, well, some part of Grady's on.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Are you
I'm
there,
trying to
Grady?
turn
Can you hear
around
us?
here. Yes, I'm just turning
All
around
right,
backwards
thank-
here. Well, just give me a second, guys. All
You're
right.
good. Thank you, Councilman. So our
Yes,
next
sir.
item on the agenda, if I could get someone to, a motion to table item 7.3, discuss and consider City of Terrell draft audit fiscal year 20.
Mayor, make a motion that we table item 7.3 until the next meeting, till the July 20th meeting.
Thank you, Councilman. That was a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem, District 5. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is discuss and consider financial policy. This is City Manager, Mr. Mike Sims.
Mayor and Council, you'll see on agenda item page 33, you've got a resolution 1051. Resolution 1051 is the wrapped up bow and ready to go version of all of the documents you heard Jason Hughes and myself brief you on a couple of weeks ago. If you recall, the standard routine for us is every year when we adopt our budget, we also adopt a financial policy. And usually we're making very small adjustments to that. You've seen us do things like, which staff members are taking vehicles home, and stuff like that. This time around, we saw the need to go ahead and do a update here in June and make sure that we got that put together as part of our borrowing program this summer. We did put a couple of new policies in here at the recommendation of First Southwest that does our certificates of obligation. They wanted us to add a debt management policy, a long-term financial policy, and a long-term capital policy. So all of those are added in here. And then also we got some recommendations, as we discussed last Friday, from our utility rate consultant saying to make some adjustments to our utility fund reserve. And so that's included here as well. So we looked at this when we met a couple of Tuesdays ago with Jason Hughes. We went through a pretty full presentation at that time. We discussed it last week as well at the budget retreat. So I'm just going to give you a quick walk through it. Agenda item page 33 again is the resolution. Section 1 is adopting the financial policy manual. Section 2 is adopting that 5-year financial plan. Remember, that's that general fund analysis over the next 5 years. And then a 10-year capital plan project. The first chunk of years on that 10-year capital plan is what you had already approved as part of your 3-year strategic plan. And then the remaining years are some projections we have for capital needs moving out into the future. So all of those spreadsheets are included. If I flip over to agenda item page 35, that's the front page of the actual financial policy. You go over a little bit deeper into it, you've got an agenda item page 37, which basically says, okay, the following policies are included in this manual, and it goes through the names of all of these different policies. So you'll see there's on page 14 a brand new debt management policy. That's the one Jason Hughes covered. Long-term financial plan policies on page 17. Long-term capital plan policy on page 19. Embedded in all of that also is that requirements we have for the utility fund reserve period of time. If you want to actually take a look at the fund balance wording, you can flip over, and I'll see if I can find it nice and fast. The fund balance policy shows up on page 45. It's page 11 of the manual, but it's page 45 of your document, your PDF document for the entire packet. So there's a minimum unassigned general fund balance. That wording's the same as it was last time. So that's basically to say 30 days is your minimum. That's the equivalent of that 8% there. And then our goal is to get to 60 days of expenditures. The minimum unassigned utility fund balance is the new section. And you can see there it says 120 days of expenditures, and that's 16% of minimum. is a minimum that's equivalent, of course, to 60 days. The replenishment language, we also did tweak that so that it refers both to the utility fund and the general fund balance. So again, material you've seen before, happy to answer any questions about it. It is kind of a dense document, but thankfully we look at it on a regular basis, and so that kind of helps since we're always reminding ourselves of all of the good stuff in here. So again, I don't want to belabor it, but I would invite any questions from council about any part of the resolution 1051.
So this is just the framework for which the financial decisions are being made by the council. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Moving forward, so
Absolutely.
there's
This
no,
is the
there's
framework
no,
we work in.
yeah, we're not allocating any or spending any expenditures or anything. It's just the framework for which we decide.
Right, this is policies, procedures, goals,
So-
things that guide staff about our day-to-day operations.
All right, so with that, are there any questions for Mr. Sims? Hearing none, this is a discuss and consider item, so we need to adopt the resolution number 1051, is that correct?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve our financial policy being Resolution 1051.
Thank you, thank you, Councilman. Then we have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem, District 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is item 8.2, which is discuss and consider award for professional services to design water main replacements in East Moore and water and sewer main installations on 6th Street. Mike?
Mayor and council, this is an item that was discussed last Tuesday on the 22nd. So just a high-level review, reminder is these are two separate projects driven by different needs. The East Moore is about trying to relocate an aging infrastructure, 10-inch main that's located in the lane of traffic and TxDOT right-of-way between Highway 34 and Birch. Move it out of the roadway and then reconnect the side streets, take a look at get some detailed survey information, take a look at some potential drainage in the sense of regrading the area. And then on the map, I'm sorry, that was a map on page 126, I believe, 128. There's a map of the 6th Street area, which it's 6th and 7th, Lawrence and
The agenda item page 132 is the one that's going to show you the US 80 part, and then agenda item page 134 is showing you the 6th Street part.
must have the wrong PDF. Apologies. So on the 6th Street, this is an area that has several vacant lots, and we have some gaps in our system, both on the water and the sanitary sewer. And so what we have done, we reached out to McManus & Johnson. Bob Johnson is a co-owner of the company, and he's done some work for us. He's got quite a bit of experience dealing with TxDOT right-of-way and planning as well. They function as the city engineer for the town of Van Alstyne. Thank you. And so they have a pretty good array of experience. But this is an opportunity, like I said, to close some gaps in our system along 6th and 7th, and then also provide service to some vacant lots for development. The recommendation is to allow the city manager to enter into a contract for an amount not to exceed $237,100. The funding would come from the utility capital reserve beginning this fiscal year. Take any questions.
Thank you, McKesson. So, council, this is a not-to-exceed number of $237,100. And again, the funding's going to be coming from the Utility Capital Reserve Fund. Is there any questions for Mike? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Mayor, make a motion that we authorize the city manager to enter into a professional services contract to design the water main replacement in Eastmore and the water and sewer main replacement in Sixth Street to McManus and Johnson in the amount not to exceed $237,100.
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem, District 5. Is there a second? Have a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion will carry. This time, we're going to adjourn into executive session in accordance with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property. Section 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. We are now in executive session. Thank all of y'all who came in. No. Use off of the, what is it, the Citizens Crisis Response Team that I put together. Yeah? All right. We're going to reconvene into regular session and consider action, if any, on items discussed in executive session.